What's the craziest thing you've ever seen at work? I was a manager at a small casino running a blackjack tournament. I watched a man have a heart attack before my very eyes. It was the end of the round for that table. The man advanced to the next round. As soon as the hand was over and was about to congratulate him, I saw the exact moment that he realized that something was wrong. He grabbed his chest and his lips instantly turned grey. It just so happened that the person sitting directly to his right was respiratory nurse. She realizes immediately what's happening and throws him on the ground and starts CPR. She took full control of the situation like a hero in the movies. It was horrific and awe-inspiring at the same time. The man made a special visit to the casino 2 weeks later to let us know that he was okay. To me, this wasn't crazy because I watched a man almost die. This was crazy because I saw the exact moment that he realized that he was in trouble. I saw the exact moment the nurse's instincts and training kicked in. I'll never forget it. I'm fairly certain that a guest came into our zoo with the intent of receiving a golden shower from a lion. For some backstory. If you've never seen those videos of lions pissing on zoo guests, you should look it up. Males can spray urine 10+ feet through the caging. It stinks worse than you could ever believe. We've had guests puke before when they got sprayed. And it's just about impossible to wash off. You don't want to put water on that. Trust me. We even have signs up warning people that lions can spray urine. One day, this guy comes in during the morning. And first place he goes is to the lion exhibit. Stands 5 feet from the bars. I caution him about the urine and he ignores me. Half an hour later, I notice he's still right there. Standing almost still. I tell him I'm not kidding. They spray through the bars sometimes. He nods and backs away a bit. 10 minutes later I find him closer to the bars than he was before. I think okay. Whatever, not my fault if you get peed on. I told a couple co-workers about this guy as we went about our morning chores. Another keeper told me, half an hour later, that he got sprayed by a lion. Apparently he was pretty calm about it and didn't start retching like most people do. Walked straight out of the zoo and back to his car, drenched in lion urine. I was working at a car dealership and was standing outside with my friends drinking coffee on a Sunday morning. All of a sudden we heard this sound like thunder and looked up to see an old Pontiac flipping end over end into the lot. It came crashing into a row of Yukons we had up on racks and knocked them over like dominoes. Funny thing is that the guy driving the car was drunk as hell and climbed out of the wreckage without so much as a scratch. Someone took a dump in the final hole of putt-putt. We were unloading some equipment from trucks. I was off to the side putting things away when I heard someone making really weird noises followed by loud bangs. I went over to the loading area to find a co-worker pretending to be a monkey in the truck and throwing barrels down the ramp at another co-worker who was jumping over them. Funniest thing I've seen in years. There was a fire in the store I work at. Towards the back of the store. We were getting everyone to evacuate and a woman would not leave. She told me that since where she wanted to shop was not on fire, if she wanted to assume the risk of bodily injury, that I could not stop her. I had to try to balance not losing my shit on her with getting her to leave. Luckily an older authoritative firefighter had just walked by and heard her. And he turned around and physically picked her up and beat her out as he took her to the exit. It was as if the retail gods finally cut me a break. He did what we all wanted to do. It was absolutely glorious. Kind of happened over the span of some weeks or so. One of the managers at my work, not my department, started dating this lady. Lady turned out to be not so good for him because she had a coke addiction and she was using him for money. Long story short, she bled him dry and left him right after. He ended up homeless. He then bought a van off a buddy for cheap and started living behind our building. He had an outlet running under the loading door and everything. That lasted for a couple weeks. But then upper management found out and the guy got canned. I miss that dude. Hope you're doing well, Tom. I'm a bartender and work a fair amount of weddings. The wedding party was effed up before the ceremony and it only got worse during happy hour and the reception. Sometime after dinner we heard voices raise. Shouting and cussing commenced. Two bridesmaids were having a spat. Right in front of all the guests. including the bride and groom. Unfortunately, they were bickering in front of the wedding cake. So when reason flew out the window and good sense was doing shots, they began pushing each other, which escalated to hair pulling and blows. Obviously, people began trying to break it up. Unfortunately, in the middle of the scuffle, one of the bridesmaids was pushed forcefully into the cake table. She fell over this 5-story perfectly decorated cake, demolished it. Never seen something so terrible and yet hilarious at an event. I worked at a car wash. They would go into the tunnel, then come out and pull into a 3x2 car bay where we'd do a full service interior clean while customers waited inside with Wi-Fi, coffee, TV, etc. One day was particularly busy, and the bay was full. So we had a couple cars waiting in line to get in. There was one guy, we'll call Tom, probably early 40s, short, Asian, recently hired. He apparently forgot to get the stop button in the tunnel. So a car was getting pushed out and hit the empty parked customer car that was in front of it. He got the customer out. IDK what he said. But they went inside to talk to the manager. Then he tried to fix things by pulling the cars up, but ended up hitting 2 other cars with a customer car. Then backing that car into the bushes and wall in the back. He just got out and stormed off while all hell broke loose with a handful of customers' cars being crashed and everything backed up. It was not pretty. Brought a motorcycle into the building and did a burnout in the hallway. Scorched an ice hole in the rug. One of our machines broke on my shift. Roughly 10 kLbs of metal went crashing 10 feet down, landing about 6 feet away from the nearest employee. I was shift lead at the time and was counting heads, making sure nobody got crushed. My heart still races at the thought of that. All safety protocol was being practiced. It was literally just a freak accident. Thankfully nobody got hurt, just shooken up a little bit. Okay, I worked as a spa salon manager for a while. I'll make this as succinct as I can. One day a very professional looking well-dressed woman came in for a massage and sauna. She was from out of town. Never been in before. During her massage she made some funny sounds and apparently some funny smells. She doesn't say anything or get up or indicate that anything is wrong. After the massage the therapist goes back into the room to discover that this lady has had diarrhea all over the table. We're very concerned about cleanliness and hygiene, so there is a mad dash to clean and disinfect. In the meantime, this woman has put on a robe and walked straight into the sauna, where she removed her now shtai robe and sat in her shtai puddle for like 30 minutes. She left the robe and went to the dressing room. She dressed, came out, paid like nothing happened and left. The sauna was down to be disinfected. Our poor spa attendant frantically cleaned everything in the dressing room, only then to discover this woman had destroyed a bathroom stall, shone the seat, the floor, etc. Spa attendant cleaned it, but the smell was still overwhelming and she didn't know why. Until she found the woman's covered panties in the trash. The end. When I worked retail in the early 2000s, one of our seasonal employees dropped a TV from ladder height onto a customer's head. It was not a flat screen. The weirdest thing for me, hotel front desk, was an old man, easily in his 70s. With his wife and kid. Ask me if he could do donuts on our parking lot. No. Not the edible kind. I asked. One of my co-workers told me on Christmas Day that one of our elevators was currently off because it had bloody walls. Turns out one of the guests, an already suspicious dude because of the rate he had gotten smashed and beat the F out of his girlfriend and the friend they had come with. Dude got arrested. Of course. Walmart ex-employee here. Settle in. I have a few. He has a gun in a holster, Texas, so naturally he's hanging out in sporting goods. Goes to pull his wallet out as I'm finishing getting him his fishing license and I hear a couple really loud bangs directly in front of me. Dude accidentally blew his foot to shreds because he didn't have the safety on. Next up is when I was moving to AP, asset protection, where a fragile looking old lady is loading cart after cart of those super expensive Dyson vacuums. She just walked out the door with at least 5 of them. We didn't find out the whole weekend, but we found it on the screens in the back that the camera caught. So bizarre. Someone was fired for not spider apping them, I believe. I got a lot more. But I'll end with the time a small woman nearly paralyzed a dude with like a judo flip trip thing on Black Friday for getting the last Spider-Man PlayStation. He was alright. Minor back injury and concussion and got his PlayStation. I was working retail at an office supply store when one day two guys walked in and they seemed really nervous. They were just walking around the store. Assistant manager came by and told me to just keep an eye on them. About 5 minutes later another guy came in and it was obvious he was looking for something. He found the two guys and started yelling at them. I think one of the duo had slept with the other guy's sister. The shouting guy grabbed a folding chair and started swinging it at them and chased them for a bit. Guys eventually ran out and the chair wielding guy was subdued by the assistant manager. Same chain, different location. An elderly guy walked around our store with a torn colostomy bag. Leaked all over the store. My buddy pulled the short straw and had to clean it up. A colleague making jelly shots, yes with alcohol in them, at work during lunch then putting them in the work fridge to set. I work for the government.